So a lot of you have asked, what is a stand up for mental health virtual comedy show like? So we are about to show you. We have 9 comics plus myself. Let's give it up for all the comics you're going to hear.
All right.
Virtual round of applause. And we're going to give you folks, our viewers, a virtual round of applause for viewing this. Give it up for the viewers.
Thank you very much for coming, guys.
I'm David Grenier. I'm the founder of Stand Up for Mental Health. I'm a counselor, I'm a comic, and I also suffer from depression. And I just found this great new drug-free way of overcoming depression. It's called winning the lottery. Seriously, I think the government should do a trial where they get a group of depressed people, give them each $1 million, and just see what it does for their mood. And in the interest of science, I'm offering to go first and to participate in numerous trials. But with my luck, I'd end up in the placebo group. I'd be like, well, I couldn't buy the Florida mansion, but I did manage to buy this cute little house on Park Place and a stack of get out of free jail cards. You've got to look at efficacy. Antidepressants takes 4 to 6 weeks to kick in. $1 million, 4 to 6 seconds. All right, folks, are you ready for your first comic? Are you ready for your first comic? Yeah.
Hey.
He skipped out on dancing naked under the moonlight and practicing witchcraft. Give it up for Alex Turan.
Oh, Alex.
Hey, everyone. You know, after my first Stand Up for Mental Health show, a woman in the washroom asked me if I really have schizophrenia. Well, I told her no. It's just the only way to get a comic gig in Vancouver. I also have adult ADHD, which basically means I'm a 39-year-old woman who can lose a game of Simon Says. And I'll leave you with a few words that I spoke at the last Zoom City Council meeting. What do we want? Non-specific, incomprehensible complaining. When do we want it? Argle, bargle, argle, bargle, argle.
All right, give it up for Alex Turan.
Oh, Argle.
And your next comic, she was in the Passionate Eye documentary CBC that won an award. Please give it up for Joan Stone.
Hey. Joan.
I've dated a lot of weird guys. I'm glad you could all make it. My psychiatrist said, I'm a paranoid bipolar. So I said, where'd you hear that? I was in the psych ward before. My doctor kept telling me I wasn't ready to go home. So I tried to prove it to him by doing a complicated art project. It involved tying sheets together and let myself out the window.
Give it up for Joan Stone.
Yeah.
And your next comic likes deep fried salad. Please give it up for Mr. Michael Morse.
Thanks. I've been accused of being a hoarder, but I prefer to think of myself as an archivist. Someday the Smithsonian is going to thank me for all these empty pizza boxes and old newspapers. I've been working out lately, and by that I mean that it takes more muscles to frown than it does to smile. Check out my brow muscles, they're totally ripped. I've been suffering from depression all my life. Even as a baby, I was like, wah. I had the crisis hotline on speed dial on my Fisher-Price phone. Thank you.
All right, give it up for Mr. Michael Morse. And your next comic, the pun master himself, Mr. Kevin Scow.
Thanks, everyone. I tried yoga recently. It was a bit of a stretch, but it taught me some really important life lessons, like how I really ought to be more flexible. Actually, medicine stopped me from hearing voices, but they were far too effective. Now I'm friggin' deaf. It turns out my body tolerates such high doses of medication that even when I attempted to overdose on my psych meds, I just ended up feeling better.
And that was
Thanks,
Mr.
everyone.
Kevin Scow. And keep it going for Mr. Clive Hanashak.
As a kid, my parents were really worried about me being a real boy because I loved playing with Barbies. So they took them all away. But then I discovered G.I. Joes who are hot, muscular, and bearded, like that guy down there. Then they said I needed to toughen up and threatened to send me to one of those really strict boarding schools where all of the students are boys and all of the teachers are men. When do I go? I'm trying a lot of alternative treatments for my mental health. I've tried acupuncture, meditation, and Reiki. And my crystal therapist healer says I need to live more in the present moment. But in the present moment, those crystals are really hard to swallow. And they hurt like hell on the way out. Thanks.
All right, give it up for Mr. Clive Hanashak. And your next comic, our newest comic, Stella Panagiotides. Give it up for Stella Panagiotides.
Don't call me Panagopoulos and we'll get along just fine. After my first acute panic attack, I saw a cardiologist where I underwent the whole gamut of stress tests. I felt like a laboratory mouse. Well, the doctor didn't find anything wrong with my heart, but he did send me home with a care package of pellets, lettuce, and a running wheel. When I moved to Vancouver, I had anxiety about finding a doctor that was real and trustworthy. I knew there was something wrong when I waited for my initial consult in Dr. Green's office and noticed stacks of Cosmopolitan magazine and Botox flyers piled high on her desk. Hello, Stella. What can I do for you? To deal with my anger management issues, I thought I'd try a sensory deprivation tank. But let me tell you that floating around in a dark enclosed capsule in 1,000 pounds of salt made me feel less like the Dalai Lama and more like a Vlasic kosher dill pickle.
All right, give it up to Stella Panagiotides. And cruising right along, Mr. Michael Groberman.
Michael.
Thank you. I live with depression. And on nights that are especially painful, I have a choice of crisis lines. I can call the volunteer line, where a trained volunteer will say, "Hello, what brings you here tonight?" Or I can call the professional line, where a psychiatric nurse will take action. And if you get Nurse Amy, or one of those like her, she will answer with her trademark greeting, "Michael, I'm very disappointed in you. I'm having a hard night," I stammer. But Nurse Amy interrupts with the obvious question, "Why aren't you using your toolbox?" I don't know what she's talking about. If any of you viewers don't know what Amy's talking about, she would like a word with you after the show.
Mr. Michael Groberman.
Woohoo!
And your next comic, welcome Vivian Liu. Vivian Liu.
I love doing Zoom. I don't have to memorize. I can sit down and don't have to wear pants. Of course, I never worn pants before. That's a well-worn joke. In my culture, people don't believe in mental illness. If you are depressed and don't get out of bed, they just think you're lazy. But it takes a lot of energy to stuff your face with noodles and cry all day.
And our last comic of the show, she likes to do martial arts and pretend she's Bruce Lee so she won't be beaten up by little kids. Give it up for April Soon.
You can't tell from looking at me, but I am a hoarder. I had over 200 banana boxes of my stuff stacked floor to ceiling in my second bedroom. My psychiatrist said I needed to work on my headspace. So I moved to an apartment with room for 500 banana boxes. And now you can see my head. I took part in a 4-hour study on hoarding last week. They paid me $40. Just think how many banana boxes I could buy. Unfortunately, I became really competitive with the other people in the study. I'm a much better hoarder than I was before. I started hoarding their stuff too.
All right, April Soon. And thank you folks for coming to our virtual show. We'll give it up for you folks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we are Stand Up for Mental Health, standupformentalhealth.com. You can book us for a virtual show for your event. And last but not least, big round of applause for all the comics you heard today. Thank you very much.